At 6, the Princess of Wales has just announced that she is undergoing treatment for cancer.
She is one of the most recognisable women in the world. A fashion icon, a champion.
Stay in England, wearing a modest shin-length white lace dress with a long-sleeved silhouette.
Treatment's done.
Yeah.
So I can crack on and get back to normal again, but actually...
Arrived in Reggio Emilia for her first overseas royal visit since her cancer diagnosis.
Princess of Wales meeting with the littlest, most enthusiastic beneficiaries of the programs she's here learning about.
I've been meaning to come for quite some time, so to be here now is it's very exciting.
For all the wonderful messages of support and for your understanding whilst I've been recovering from surgery.
And here we are, the appearance of Her Royal Highness.
Princess Catherine rolled up her sleeves for a clay-making workshop during a visit to a centre in Italy.
Despite a brief breakup in 2007, due to long distance and the pressure of...
Same white Dolce & Gabbana dress to Queen Elizabeth's 90th birthday concert in May.
Many had gathered with flowers, hoping to catch a glimpse of the future.
On June 17, 2026, a carriage door opened at Royal Ascot, and Catherine stepped out in yellow. 3 years since she'd last made that walk. Cameras everywhere, crowds straining for a look. And the easy version of this story writes itself right there. The comeback, the dress, the smile, done. But that's not actually where this comeback started. And it's not what it was really about. If you want more deep dives like this, make sure to subscribe to Royal Archives. To understand what changed, you have to go back to where she'd been. In early 2024, Catherine stepped away from public life entirely. She'd undergone abdominal surgery, and weeks later came the announcement nobody wanted to hear. Cancer confirmed, treatment beginning. She chose to share it herself, in her own words, on her own terms. No leaks, no tabloid scoop. Just a woman deciding the public deserved honesty instead of speculation. What followed was months of near-total withdrawal, chemotherapy through the spring and summer of that year, a single, brief appearance at Wimbledon in July. There and gone, deliberately limited. By September, she'd finished treatment and said, in a video she released herself, that the year had been incredibly tough, but had left her with a renewed sense of hope. Small steps followed after that. A Remembrance Day appearance at the Royal Albert Hall, her first major royal occasion since chemotherapy ended. A working meeting in Windsor about her early childhood project, low-key, almost private. Nothing rushed, nothing performative, just a gradual, careful rebuilding, one engagement at a time. The pressure on the family that year wasn't limited to her either. Weeks before her own diagnosis became public, King Charles had disclosed that he too was undergoing cancer treatment after a separate, unrelated procedure. For a few months, two of the family's central figures were absent from public life at once, and palace watchers at the time openly questioned how the institution would function with both of them stepping back. Catherine's choice to speak in her own words, rather than let the palace issue a clinical statement, became one of the moments commentators pointed to afterward as resetting the tone of the entire crisis. There's a quiet historical echo here, too, for anyone who's followed royal women navigating public scrutiny during a private crisis. Princess Diana, after the upheaval of the early 90s, learned the same lesson the hard way, that a single misjudged reappearance gets dissected forever, while a series of small, considered ones earns trust back gradually. Catherine seemed to understand that instinctively, years before she needed to use it. By early 2025, she confirmed she was in remission. And here's where most people expected the story to simply resume. Full calendar, full speed, business as usual. It didn't happen that way. She stayed selective. While King Charles logged over 500 public engagements that year, Catherine kept hers close to 70, ranking well behind even Princess Anne's tireless schedule. Deliberately. Prioritizing her 3 children, George, Charlotte, and Louise, over volume. The princess who'd once been measured by the Daily Mail style pages was now being measured by her own choice in a completely different currency. So when 2026 opened, the real question wasn't whether she'd return. It was what kind of return she'd choose to build. The first real answer came in May. Not at a palace, not at a state dinner, in Reggio Emilia, Italy, on a 2-day working visit. Her first trip abroad since the diagnosis. And the choice of destination told you everything about her priorities before she said a single word. Reggio Emilia isn't famous for royal pageantry. It's known internationally for its approach to early childhood education. Small classrooms, child-led learning, a model Catherine has studied for years through her own foundation work. She didn't choose a glamorous comeback tour. She chose a working trip, built around a subject she'd spent years researching quietly, away from cameras, long before Remission gave her the platform to act on it publicly. The Royal Foundation didn't just announce the visit and move on either. Weeks later, in June, they released previously unseen photographs from the trip, paired with an essay written in her own voice, not a press statement drafted by an aide, her own words, making a case for something specific, authentic human connection, at a moment when so much of daily life happens through screens. It read less like a royal communication and more like someone using a reclaimed platform to say something she'd actually been thinking about. The timing wasn't accidental either. Releasing it weeks after the trip rather than during the news cycle meant the message had to stand on its own. No carriage, no crowd, no photo op carrying it. While she was there, she didn't simply tour the facilities for the cameras. She sat with educators, watched children work through child-led activities she'd referenced in her own foundation's research years earlier, and spoke about the role of play in early development, a subject she'd built her public work around long before this trip gave her the chance to see it firsthand, in the city where the entire approach originated. That's the pattern starting to take shape. Not a comeback measured in appearances. A comeback measured in what she chose to say once she had the floor again. Then came March, an International Women's Day. She didn't attend an event. No red carpet, no headline photo op. Instead, she posted a message, written, considered, hers. She wrote about celebrating the kindness, resilience, and quiet strength of women in families and communities. About standing up alongside one another. The phrase sat there, easy enough to scroll past if you weren't paying attention, but put it next to everything else she'd done that year, and it stops looking like a passing line. It starts looking like a thesis statement she'd been building toward for 2 years. Quiet strength. Not the loud kind that announces itself with a press release, the kind that shows up consistently in a small working visit to an Italian classroom, in a considered essay released without fanfare, long before it ever shows up in a carriage at Ascot. It's worth noticing, too, what she didn't do that day. No video message, no formal address, just a written post, the kind anyone might scroll past in a feed full of other things, left to stand or fall on its own without a single image to carry it. There was a smaller, almost unnoticed moment the week before. 2 that fits the same pattern. William and Catherine visited Scotland's National Curling Academy in Stirling and tried the sport themselves alongside Olympic athletes. Bruce Muat, who'd taken silver in Beijing, described the encounter afterward to Hello magazine, admitting he'd felt starstruck, but that the couple walked into the ice rink just like 2 normal people would, shaking hands, chatting, wishing the athletes good luck before a competition. No grand statement attached to it, just 2 people choosing to spend an afternoon being present with strangers, on a visit most outlets barely covered. Royal commentary through the spring picked up on the broader shift too. Coverage around her packed early 2026 schedule described her as becoming a central figure in the family's operations for the year, not because of frequency, but because of impact, her steady popularity, her quiet influence over fashion and public sentiment alike. The same reporting noted something easy to miss if you were only counting appearances. William had been increasing his own engagements all year in step with hers, the 2 of them moving at a pace they seemed to have set together, rather than one dictated to them by the calendar. Put the numbers side by side, and the contrast sharpens. Charles, the hardest-working royal in 2025, logged hundreds of engagements. William, steadily building toward that same level. Catherine, deliberately a fraction of either. And yet, by the spring of 2026, she was the one outlets kept circling back to. Proof that in this family, influence was never purely a function of volume. It never had been. It just took a year like this one to make that obvious. That's the broader shift this comeback actually revealed. For years, the public measured royal recovery the way it measures most things. By visibility. More appearances, more events, more proof of life. Catherine inverted that entirely. She used scarcity instead, and let it do the work. The Italy trip carried more weight precisely because it was her only overseas visit in 2 years. The Instagram message carried more weight because she so rarely posted anything in her own voice. Ascot carried more weight because the carriage seat beside William had sat visibly empty the year before, after her attendance was abruptly pulled at the last minute, which brings the story back to where it started. June 17th. That yellow dress, that carriage door. Because even there, in the moment that looked the most like spectacle, the quiet pattern held underneath it. She arrived in the procession carriage alongside William, King Charles, and Queen Camilla. A full return, not a side appearance, after her place in that same lineup had been pulled at the last minute the year before. The dress itself wasn't new. It was a Roxanda design she'd already worn twice back in 2022, once in Jamaica, once at Wimbledon, recycled rather than replaced for the occasion, paired with a hat from Jane Taylor London and an ivory pearl-trimmed clutch. William's part in it was easy to miss unless you were looking closely. Rather than coordinate with a matching tie or an obvious nod to her yellow, he wore a single small detail in the same shade, tucked into his morning suit. Understated enough that most coverage of the day barely registered it. No statement, no announcement, just a husband quietly matching his wife on the one day everyone was watching her, and the jewelry told its own story, one almost nobody mentioned at the time. She wore the late Queen Elizabeth's diamond chandelier earrings, a quiet thread connecting her renewal to the family's longest legacy, and on her wrist Princess Diana's 3-strand pearl bracelet. 2 generations worn together without comment, without a caption explaining the choice. She let the pieces speak for her instead of saying it herself. That's the through line running underneath all of it. Not a woman returning to glamour for its own sake. A woman choosing again and again to let meaning carry more weight than spectacle. In where she chose to travel, in what she chose to write, in what she chose to wear on the one day everyone was watching. So when people call 2026 her comeback, they're not wrong, but the comeback was never really about being seen again. It's in the pattern underneath it. Deliberate, selective, unhurried. A woman who spent 2 years learning exactly how much she wanted to give back and is now giving it on her own terms, one careful choice at a time. Whether that pace holds through the rest of the year, whether the calendar quietly fills in or stays this measured, is still an open question heading into the autumn engagements. Reporting through the spring suggested a slightly busier back half of the year, but nothing close to the scale of Charles's schedule, and nothing that suggested she'd abandon the approach that had worked for her since Remission. If anything, the rest of 2026 looks like more of the same, chosen carefully, revealed slowly. What's already clear is that however this year finishes for the Princess of Wales, it won't be remembered the way most royal comeback years are. Not in a number of appearances. In what she chose to make matter and what she was willing to leave quiet.